Well, our topic this morning is awareness and choice. Taken from the material of Eileen Cady's book, I brought it with me, called Choosing to Love. Little book. Before I actually get on the actual topic of the book, I wanted to ask how many of you are familiar with who Eileen Cady is, her works? No. Okay. Well, I'm going to give you a little background. I Wikipedia'd her. She was a spiritual seeker. She was born in 1917 and she passed in 2006. She discovered a still small voice within her that spoke to her when she went into the silence was typically about 5 hours a day. Her first response to hearing the inner voice was that she thought she was having a mental breakdown. And then she began to realize that it was her higher self speaking to her. So based on its guidance, in 1965, she helped found a community in Scotland called Finehorn. That was a commune where they grew their own food and they built their houses out of recycled materials. It was known as the Vatican of the New Age. As of 2009, it had been home to 400 residents and thousands of visitors over 40 countries. She wrote several books and gave lectures around the world. She had quite a life. And she listened, took the time to listen, and ask for instruction and followed it from that still small voice. So a lot of her writings are from that point of view of a channeling type of modality where it's God speaking through her. This book is not. This book is the one that we're talking on this month she was written with another individual who was a PhD. So it's more practical, hands-on type of thing. But as I read her book, I have been reading Opening Doors, which I think I've shared some of this with you. This is one where it's more like a channeled piece. And I wanted to share with you April 29th. I have a star by it. I thought it fit in our program this morning. Open yourself to the inflow of my divine love and light. Open up the doors of your heart and allow nothing to stop that flow. Keep those doors wide open so that love and light can flow freely in and through you, and the life force is ever in evidence within you. When the doors of your heart are closed and the flow of love and light ceases, your whole life becomes stagnant, and nothing lives in a stagnant pool. That is why you have to consciously keep those doors wide open and draw from me, the source of all life, all the time, so that your heart never at any time becomes dried up and stagnant. A stream that ceases to draw its supply from the source dries up. You, when you cease to draw your supply from me, will soon dry up and become useless. So keep consciously aware of me and constantly draw your life force from me. You make your choice day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute. Which reminds me, last week I gave you the opportunity to think about tithing of your spiritual energy, your time. How much time do you spend in a day thinking and allowing and letting your God self to lead you? Did any of you come up with ideas of how you can do it? Remember, I gave you some examples. Anybody? I don't see one hand coming up. What in the world? Okay, well, I'll give it to you again. Think about how you can consciously, constantly choose to bring this life energy, this essence that we are, that is us, into our conscious awareness. And ask it what's going on. So our topic this morning is choosing to love. And it is based primarily on chapter 5 in this book, and it's called choosing to be aware. And it talks about the definition of a belief. A definition of a belief is something we accept as being true for us, something we trust and have confidence in, usually based upon our personal conditioning and experience. That makes sense. A belief is something that we believe is true, right? We have confidence in it. We trust it. And it's based either on our conditioning or our experience. It goes into the idea and the recognition that for many of us, we have come growing up with this conditioning, perhaps from our parents or from whatever when we were little, or maybe experiences that we've had. We have this belief of low self-esteem. I'm not enough. Something's wrong with me. Does anybody ever had that thought? And we as humans, I think, have this tendency to make comparisons. How many times do I look at somebody else and then I look at me and I think, oh my gosh, they're so much higher on the rung, than I am. And there again, what does that do? That constantly shoots us down. We don't recognize it. We're not doing it intentionally. But it ends up being a core belief that we don't do, purposely. But it's one of those things how that we have these buttons that are installed in us. We don't even know how they got there. We don't think we installed them, but we did, somehow or another. And if somebody comes along and pushes that button, oh my gosh, the reaction comes up. You know what I'm talking about, right? You have buttons. We all have buttons. And so this idea that we have a less than attitude of ourselves is fairly universal. Now, Ken Keyes Jr., he is the Power of Unconditional Love. He's the author of The Power of Unconditional Love. He said, "You are not responsible for the programming you picked up in childhood." That's what it talks about, our beliefs or conditioning, when you were 2 years old. Mommy or daddy said something and you took on yourself that I'm not enough. You're not responsible for that programming. However, as an adult, you are 100% responsible for fixing it. So you see, that's where our awareness comes in. As a functioning adult, we need to be aware of what is going through my mind. What are these thoughts that are coming up? What are these feelings that are associated with those thoughts? And we need to recognize that we have choice. That I don't really have to feel that way. I don't have to go down that same path that I've always gone down, Do you recognize what we are in? The path that we follow in this church is called New Thought. Ernest Holmes, the founder of New Thought, or New Religious Science, said, change your thinking, change your life. We are infinite beings, unlimited. So we always want to have those new thoughts, fresh energy coming to us. It is not easy to do self-examination. The archaeological digs that we need to do to come up with, what do I really believe? Why do I believe that? It's not easy. This whole thing of being aware as an infinite spiritual being is not for the faint-hearted. It's for the strong individual to know that I am on this level now, and I want to allow this infinite being that I am to flow through me at a greater rate, as far as like the stream that it was talking about, to let that stream continually flow. How many of you know that you are love in expression? Well, good, I got some hands. And do you know that everyone is love in expression? And do you know that sometimes we're confused by that? Sometimes it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to us. When other people do things or when we do things, that's love? Really? How could that be love? So I'm asking you this week to challenge the beliefs that you have. To perhaps look at them as they come up. If a button gets pushed, look at it. Examine it. Is this true? Is this a reality? Is this something that is supporting me today? I wanted to share with you one of the items that was interesting because I was preparing some materials for a class, and I recognized that there was something missing in the information. And as I'm going through this book, lo and behold, this book had exactly what I was looking for. You ever had that happen? I'm reading this book going, oh my gosh, that's what I needed right there. So I did a little prelude with this. I practiced with Becky at home yesterday. So Becky said that when I was about at this distance, she could see this picture. Can you all see that picture? Black and white picture. I'm going to ask for input. What do you see? I heard somebody say two faces, and I heard somebody say a goblet. Do you see the two faces and the goblet? Do you see them exactly at the same time? You can't, can you? You have to switch your attention. You have to switch your perspective in order to see one or the other, but they're both there. They're not changing. The picture isn't changing. It's the way that we are looking at it, what we see. Think about that. Be aware that life is. It is. And the way we look at it gives us our response to it. And so every time we look at something and we have that initial flag that comes up, that's wrong, be aware that there might be another way to look at it. This is coming into my experience for a reason. What is it that I can do as a spiritually mature adult to work with it? I was talking with a friend yesterday on the phone, and we had a lesson that we needed to do about our mothers. In any event, she was telling me how she gets so exasperated with her mother because her mother continuously, like twice a week or so, brings her over bags of clothes from the Goodwill that she knows she's going to love. Well, she rents a room from someone. She has one small closet. So she says, every time I bring something in, something's got to go out. You know, I can't just bring all the stuff in. And so she says, I'm constantly going through these bags, and it just drives me nuts because I've got other stuff I have to do. But I said, well, why did you ever tell your mother, listen, I don't want those things. I don't need them. She says, you know what she does then? She takes them over to my sister's house, who doesn't have a car, and she just leaves them there. And so I'm kind of my caregiver for my sister, so if she doesn't give them to me, she'll give them to my sister. One way or the other, we got to deal with them. So she ends up recognizing, number one, this is the way that my mother shows her love. This is actually, we had common ground on this. I But my mother gives me things. That's how she shows her love. And so I don't want to thwart her of that. I understand that's where she's coming from. So she says, now what we do is we sort through it, and we take some of the items, and we put them on consignment. She says, we've been making money. So do you see? This is a very practical, this happens day in and day out with us. Not that particular thing, but you know what I'm saying. Is that something is happening that frustrates you. Stop. See if you can switch your perspective on why it's in your life. What is the good here that I can glean from it? I don't know about any of you, but I and Becky went to the butterfly release yesterday. Any of you see the butterfly? No, I didn't see a person there. Were you there, Ann? Oh, been there before. Okay. You saw it advertised. So we got there in time for these butterflies to be released, and they were in these little mesh bags about so big, and a collapsible thing, and it had a zipper, and she had two of them. And she unzipped them, and then she opened it up, and there was like an open area, and all the little butterflies were in there. Hardly any of them would fly out. She had to thump them, to get them to uncling from the inside of their little cage they'd been in, so that you can fly. Look, you can fly, thump, thump. I thought this was an interesting lesson. How many of us have had to have thump lessons? To uncling from where we're at, to allow us to fly freely. Butterflies and nature teach us. We are part of that. Think about the perspective that you have. Where am I clinging? Where I could be free. I could be flying. What is it that I need to let go of? It was funny yesterday, I'll have to say, because here I am, I'm going to write down some notes for my talk, right? And I want this book, at my disposal. I'm looking all over the house. I look in the living room. I look in the bedroom. I look in the other office. I look everywhere. Cannot find that book to save my life. I said, great, I'll just go. I said, no, I would like the book in my hands. This is ridiculous. And so I said, well, and I always go to this, Lord knows, and he's not telling. So I thought, duh, gay. I remembered what Eileen Cady did. She'd go into the silence for 5 hours a day. I thought, well, what if I sit down and I ask? Lord, tell me, where is the book? If I ask, the master teacher said, ask and is given to you. Knock and the door will be open. Seek and you will find. But you've got to ask. You've got to do the work, the first part of it, right? So I sat down in my meditation little chair I have. I said, okay, I know you know where it's at. And I know that you can tell me where it's at. I'm waiting expectantly for the answer. Do you know that was less than a minute? I realized, last time I had that book, I was making a photocopy of that picture in it. Where was I? Was I doing that at home or at church? I said to Becky, I'm going over to church, Becky, and see if the book is over there. Sure enough, it was right there by the copy room. Just got still enough to know and ask and hear the answer. And so I got it. That's a lesson. Don't be exasperated. Stop and ask, what is it here that I'm to learn from? What is it? What's the gift here in this? After the butterfly thing release yesterday, we went over to Christ the King Church. They had a plant sale. Anybody else go to the plant sale at one point in the day? No? Okay. Well, not only did they have a plant sale, but they had a, what do they call it, silent auction. like a fundraiser thing, and they had and they had baskets. They had raffle baskets. 6 tickets for $5. We know all about that. So Becky and I each gave them our $5 for our 6 tickets, and they had some beautiful baskets. Oh my gosh. And of course you could drop your ticket into the basket that you wanted. There were 10 of them. And they were going to call you, put your name and your phone number on it. You don't have to be here, to get it. We'll call you if you win. And so lo and behold, later that afternoon, Becky and I got a call. We had each won the basket that we wanted. Becky won the Starbucks one. She got a $50 coupon for Walmart in it. Gift certificate. And I got the one with Evergreen Nursery, $25, and Donato's, $25. And I got all sorts of other little, really cute little things. But one of the things at first when I saw it, there was a book in there. I thought, what does that say? And at first I thought it said, old jokes for old farts. It actually says, old jokes for old folks. And I thought, well, how, perfect is this? I was right in the middle of writing my talk going, and I had to leave, to go get my winnings. And then I ended up with this. I said, okay, obviously I have to share some of these today with you. So I just wanted to bring out some of these. And I put these in order. Let's see if I can do this. First one is back here. Okay, now, I know this might sound a little sick. I thought it was funny. That's not the right one, Gay. Oh, heck. I was so organized. Maybe it started this way. Hang on. Okay. A tour bus driver was driving a bus full of seniors down a highway when a little old lady tapped him on the shoulder. She offered him a handful of almonds, which gratefully he munched up. After approximately 15 minutes more, she tapped him on the shoulder again and handed him another handful of almonds. She repeated this gesture about 8 times. Finally, the bus driver asked her why the seniors didn't eat the almonds themselves. She told him that it was impossible because of their old teeth. They weren't able to chew them. Well, why did you buy all of them then? He asked, puzzled. She goes, we just love the chocolate that's around them. That grossly fun. Oh my gosh. Oh, Lord in heaven. Okay, this one reminded me of something that happened to me. You know you're old when you start singing along with the elevator music. Actually, I'm never old. I'm never going to be old because old is always 7 years older than me. Well, I read in here that Oliver Wendell Holmes said that old is always 15 years older than him, so I give a little more leeway. But anyway, so this says, you're old when you start singing along with the elevator music. I'm in Bonds the other day, and they had music going, and I was at the college area, Bonds, okay? And I'm walking down the aisle, and one of the songs came on. I know this song, so I start singing it. And this young man, was about, I don't know, a few paces ahead of me, and he turned back around and just looked at me. Well, I looked at him, I'm singing. And he turned back around, and we were still walking. And then there was another phase in the song. I knew that lyric as well, so I sang that lyric again. He stopped and looked back at me, just looked at me. Never said a word, just looked at me. Like, I know, I thought it was weird. I mean, it's okay, I'm fine. Obviously, he didn't know the song. Okay. Thomas Jefferson once said, we should never judge a president by his age, only by his works. And ever since he told me that, I stopped worrying. Ronald Reagan. Oh, this one. One more. The older I get, the better I used to be. Lee Trevino. That's so true, isn't it? But I wanted to end with this one from Colette. I'm not sure who Colette is. What a wonderful life I've had. I only wish I'd realized it sooner. Isn't that the truth? What a wonderful life I have. If only I had realized it sooner. We are living this amazing life. We are love, infinite, boundless love in expression, able to do it our own perfect, unique way, every day something new. We can choose to uncling the fabric and fly if we want to. I know many times as I close my talk, I sing a little song. I sing something. And today, I wanted all of us. And so I put in your words, and I forgot to tell you, Leslie, I'll give you a heads up on this, but I'd like us all to sing the song that's in your program this morning, that I love myself the way I am. And I want you to really, when you're singing this, they say that singing is praying twice. It's a double. It really gets to the heart. So know these words in your heart as you sing them. And thank you so much, Leslie, for being so versatile. I love myself the way I am. There's nothing I need to change. I'll always be the perfect me. There's nothing to rearrange. I'm beautiful and capable of being the best me I can. And I love myself just the way I am. I love you the way you are. There's nothing you need to do. When I feel love inside myself, it's easy to love you. Behind your fears, your rage and tears, I see your shining star. And I love you just the way you are. I love the world the way it is, 'cause I can clearly see that all the things I judge are done by people just like me. So till the birth of peace on earth that only love can bring, I'll help it grow by loving everything. I love myself the way I am, and still I want to grow. But change outside can only come when deep inside I know I'm beautiful and capable of being the best me I can. And I love myself just the way I am. I love myself just the way I am. I love you. Namaste.